Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zach F1 channel, and in today's episode I officially have the legitimate final F1 fantasy video of this season. And no, it's going to be a little bit different because, well, I say a little bit different, it's all going to be about the summary of my year for F1 fantasy, and let's just go over everything and enjoy it basically. But before we get into that, of course, as per usual, like and subscribe, follow my Twitter, join my Discord for more topics. And hey, the Zach F1 channel will be carrying on every Wednesday, and every Friday there will be a video out. But anyway, as you can see on my screen right now, it's pretty much as simple as this. It was a very successful year for me. Finished 886th. I was very happy with how Abu Dhabi went. I risked it for Albon and 2 times in Leclerc, both flawlessly worked, and because everyone had Bottas and Sargent, that didn't matter too much. So 886, top 1,000, that's what I was aiming for this season, so I can't really complain too much. Now, what does that mean for next season? Well, I would say just top 1,000 again, if I just wanted to consolidate on what I've grown this year. However, I think we've got to go all or nothing, don't we? So next year, I'm trying to push for top 500, and hey, we all know that means I need to have a good start, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. As you can see, 78% more. That's very good. Top 5% of F1 Fantasy Patreon. Yep, I'm very happy with that. And this is the funny one that makes me laugh. Your best performing driver is actually Max Verstappen. Now, of course, they take into consideration Team 1, Team 2, and Team 3. As you can see, I, as an F1 Fantasy YouTuber, don't really use my other teams. Now, firstly, because Global Leagues, it only takes your first team into consideration. But it's also because I need it for other things, like keeping Limitless for the full season to show you guys Limitless teams, extra DRS, and all of that. I basically just don't use any chips on my other teams, or I can also show how, you can click on Limitless, choose a team, and then back out, and you've still got it there. All of those stuff, but that's why Teams 2 and Teams 3 have very much best performing drivers as best performing constructors, because I wasn't changing them about. But what surprised me the most, and I'll talk about the chips in a little bit, was that my no negative was the best. I'm going to get onto that in a second, but I did not expect that chip to be the one that helped me that much. But realistically, I'm really happy with how everything went. Congratulations to Leapers1, by the way, for winning the whole thing. I will be getting onto my league in a second. But the dream team, Charles Leclerc 2 times, Piastri, Zhou, Magnussen, Hulkenberg. I really wish I kept Hulkenberg and Magnussen because I took them out at Monaco. You'll see why. And I never brought them back in because then they started building money again. But if I just kept them, I think we would have done even better. But with that done, let's actually go have a look at some of my teams. So as you can see, I've had quite a bit of a roller coaster of a season. And it's really not stressing that enough. We've got highs and lows all about on my team's performances, but that's not where I want to look. I want to look at this, and I want to look at a few key moments. So we'll get through the worst moments first, and we'll start at the bottom. It definitely had to be, first of all, Saudi Arabia was one of the first weekends where I was fully on Lance Stroll because he was still in that phase of Aston Martin doing well enough where he qualifies badly and then you could bring it in. He got the DNF. I wasn't happy about that. Sonoda didn't perform. Bottas normally doesn't perform. It looks so weird, this team right now, but I promise you, this was the meta at the start of the season. It was Verstappen plus Red Bull and a cheap constructor, or 2 good constructors, or Ferrari and Red Bull with Perez. And my god, how the teams have changed is quite crazy. But I think that was the first little hiccup I had. But then we had the big one, and this was Canada. Only 13 points scored. This was the low point of the season. I dropped from around the top 200 in the global leagues all the way down. So I think I was below the top 1,000, top 2,000. It stung. But luckily we did recover, as you know, but it was all because I opted for Charles Leclerc. I didn't hop on that Mercedes bandwagon, which, by the way, I did again in Vegas. I guess I never learn. But Ferrari got us negative points. Charles Leclerc, 2 times negative points. Logan Sargent does Logan Sargent things. But realistically, Canada was the worst point of the season for me. And then we had the other worst one, which was Sao Paulo. But luckily for me, everyone kind of had a stinker because no one really had Verstappen in their team too much. And who would have guessed that both Alpines would have been on the podiums? Not me. So it's good to know there was only like 2 or 3 points in the season where I really could say I didn't do well in this F1 Fantasy season. And it is exciting to say that I did better in more races. So we start off with Bahrain. Now, 239 points doesn't seem like anything crazy, but Zhou 11 points, by the way, incredible. And it's Red Bull and Ferrari, which was the big thing. I was one of the big driving forces for bringing constructors in over the likes of drivers, because we saw this weekend where Perez in that Red Bull, when it was still competitive, you could say, you'd have Verstappen first, Perez second, and that meant the gap between Verstappen and Perez was only around 10-ish points, and the gap between Ferrari and the likes of VCarb was around like 40 to 50 points, and that's why it actually worked out. And for building a team value, it started the season off really well. Now, the next good thing was the wild card. Because of how well my season started, it then meant I could go to Red Bull, Ferrari and Max Verstappen for Japan, which a lot of people couldn't do, which meant I almost got 300 points. And it was this weekend where I actually got, without the chips, the best score you could have possibly got from any team. I can't say I've ever done it again, and I can't say I'll probably ever do it again. What a weekend that was for me. And it just got better. These 3 weekends of Japan, China, and US, well, Miami Grand Prix. No negative in China. We had Bottas, who had a DNF. I didn't get any of those points. We had Max Verstappen getting all those points in the sprint race. We then also had Logan Sargent potentially getting his only decent weekend of the whole season for F1 Fantasy. We then have Nico Hulkenberg. He lost a position, but that didn't matter to me. And we had Yuki Tsunoda, who obviously got crashed out by Kevin Magnussen. I remember being so annoyed about that because Kevin Magnussen got a 0.5 million increase and my boy Yuki obviously got the drop. And then you have Miami. Again, it could have been a little bit better, but you can't ask for much more with a Limitless. It's just a shame that Lando Norris had a sprint not classified, which meant he got minus 20. But all 3 of those races meant by that end, I was at rank 129. That was my peak of the season. And by Canada, like I mentioned, it would go down. But the great thing about this season for me is there's a lot more positives to take out than there were negatives. But now that I've spoken about all the summaries in my teams and all of this jazz, I want to go over to my league. And that is because, of course, I had the £200 prize pool. Now, that is still in effect. The top 5 of Leapers 1, Porsche F1, Enema G, Charles Leclerc F1 Champ, and Moneymakers. All of you, please message on Discord or Twitter and we will get that sorted. Of course, Leapers, that's 75, Porsche 50, Enema G, I believe that's 35, 30, 25. I will double check, but please get back to me and we'll get that sorted. But of course, next season, I'm going to keep my league open for the whole time. And I'm going to try push for that we get over 1,000 people in this league, which would be very exciting. And then finally, for the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about plans for the future on my F1 Fantasy content. So things staying for F1 Fantasy, of course, I will continue doing my live streams before the deadlines, either that be sprint or quali. We'll see if they actually move the sprint deadline. It'll be interesting to see. And of course, I'll still be doing my post FB2/sprint quali videos as well. These will all be staying, and I really enjoyed those because I wasn't doing those at the start of the year, but I pushed, and that's what I sort of did after a little bit in the season. So it'll be nice to do a full season with those in. And things I'll be doing new. Well, first of all, I'm going to try, and this is a promise, to get every single weekend of a live stream because I did miss 2 or 3, whether it be I didn't wake up in time or whether it be I was on a different channel. I really want to do, even if I've got something going on, I still do a live stream minimum of 45 minutes to an hour. And I will be adding a new live stream before the race, 30 to 60 minutes long before each race, just going over the qualifying results, going over what our projected points are, because that's new, going over what we all did in qualifying, are we going to final fix, all of that jazz as well, because I really want to just get more and more involved over the weekend doing F1 Fantasy stuff, and it's the perfect time to do it because it's a clean slate and it's going to be so fun to do. But anyway, everyone, that is it for F1 Fantasy. Of course, like I mentioned, my channel will be carrying on with just normal F1 content. We'll have historic events coming up. I just did a Crashgate video. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll be also doing my Toto Wolff 2,500 word count on Saturday or Sunday, depending on when I do it, and get it sent out to you lot. And then every Wednesday and Friday, I'll be having some sort of video. It will normally be Wednesday, a historic video like what happened in against Schumacher Villeneuve crash, something like that. And then the Friday video will be talking about Perez, Red Bull, Max Verstappen got first place, but in the constructors they were only third. Let's talk about that and all that stuff. So I hope you all enjoy the content coming along in the winter break. And hey, it's going to be a little bit of a long wait for F1 Fantasy, but we've done it before and we'll do it again. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Enjoy your holidays, and I'll see you all in the New Year's for F1 Fantasy content and next Wednesday for some more F1 content. Take care.